Hey everyone, it's Karen with Yes Please PaperCrafts, and this video is part of the Let's Get Organized YouTube hop, where each month we focus in on a different item or area in our craft room and we talk about how we store and organize those items. So for the month of April, we're going to be talking about decorative cutting tools, and that could be punches, decorative scissors, cutting templates like Kiwi Lane, or even electronic die cutting machines. And so I already have a video on my YouTube channel where I shared how I store and organize my punches, and I'll show y'all a couple of things in this video. But if you want to see more details on how I organize my punches, go and check out the other video, and I'll have a link to that video in the description below. And because I'm not going to go into that much detail with the punches since I've already done it once, and I haven't really changed much since I did that video, which was I think about a year ago. Okay, so I'm going to start off by talking about reference guides. So I've done reference guides on a few things in my craft room, and I'm going to share them with you here so you can get an idea of what I'm talking about when I talk about a reference guide. And I did, the very first reference guide I started with was my paper pads. So I created this reference guide. This is like a little book, and in here I have all of my paper pads printed out, so that if I want to find this paper pad in my craft room, on the back here, I have the location of where this is stored in my craft room. So it's a way for me to quickly reference this, to have all of this information close by where I'm working. I can just quickly take this book out and flip through it to find a paper pad and go over to my closet, and I'll know exactly where to pull it from. And then when I'm done using that paper pad, I'll know exactly where to put it back. So the reference guides are a really awesome tool to have in your craft room to help you to stay organized and to help you to locate things in your craft room, and also figure out where they go back when you're done using them. Because one of the biggest challenges with organizing is not just to get organized, but it's to stay organized. So putting things back is a really important part of keeping your craft room organized. Okay, another reference guide that I did was for my embossing folders, and that's what I have right here. And on the back, I have the exactly what embossing folder that is documented on there. And it's awesome to have the embossing folders reference guide, because sometimes if you're just looking at the plastic embossing folder, it's really difficult to tell what it's going to look like when you use it. So having a reference guide that gives you an idea of what the embossing is going to do is really awesome. Now this is a project that I started a while back and I haven't finished yet, so I haven't actually created a cover for these books, but I'm planning to do that eventually. And then the 3 books that I have here in the front, these are reference guides for my punches. So I have a lot of punches in my craft room. It's probably one of my most favorite tools to use. And I've been collecting crafting tools and supplies for over 30 years, so I have a lot of punches. My favorite brand of punches, though, has to be Creative Memories. Creative Memories has the most awesome punches. They're super easy to use, and I really love them so much. And so I have a whole bunch of Creative Memories punches in my craft room, but I also have Stampin' Up! And other brands as well, but mostly Creative Memories. And so I have these 3 reference guides that I created, and I divided it into images, shapes, and borders. So in images, I have things that are just images like clouds and flowers and butterflies and things like that. In the shapes, I have things like circles and squares and labels. And then in the borders, I have all of the things that you would use to make a border. So in here, I have this divided into frames. I also have chains. Chain would be a border strip that actually separates from your paper and creates a chain, and then the borders, which actually just cut into the border of the paper. So I have it separated like that. And when I did this book, I decided that I would back each one of these with a cardstock just to keep it from getting damaged as I'm flipping through it, because some of these are really delicate. If you just punch this out and leave it, it would probably get ripped and torn over time and get tangled up with the next page. And while I was doing that and putting the colored cardstock there, I decided to go ahead and make it meaningful. And so I decided to use green for anything that would create a frame. Anything that was a chain is pink. And then the borders are blue. And then the inlay, which is, doesn't actually create a border, but it creates a design or an inlay into the edge of your paper. So these would be inlays, and I don't have very many of those, but I have a few of these that don't really create borders, but they create a design on the border of your paper. Okay, so the reference guides are really, they take a little bit of time to create, but once you've done them, they're a really awesome tool to have in your craft room to be able to have all of this close at hand, to be able to flip through as you're working on a project. And then when you figure out what you want to use, you can just go over and grab it from where it's stored. Okay, another way that you can use this reference guide is to use it as a tool to help you to figure out whether or not a punch would work or not for what you're trying to do. So for instance, all of my shape punches, I cut it out of this white card, and then I also cut it out of color cardstock and just glued it on there so I could get an idea of what the punch shape looks like and also the hole it creates. You can use that right there to go to any paper that you have. In this case, I have the sticker book I just pulled out, and I have two different size hearts here. And say I wanted to put a butterfly on the heart. This is a sticker, so I would just pull that off. You could actually just use this as a guide over that and see whether or not the shape would fit inside of the punch or not before you even use that punch. Okay, and then the other thing you can do is you can use this to figure out if you're stamping and you're going to do some stamping and then cutting something out. You can use these as a tool to be able to figure out what stamps would work with the punch and whether or not that stamp that you're going to stamp out would be able to fit inside of the punch image. Okay, so I think that it's really awesome. You can do have the reference guide for reference and for knowing what you have in your craft room, but also use it as a tool to help you while you're crafting. Okay, so the reason why I'm talking about reference guides and starting with that is because I have another project that I'm going to work on to create a reference guide for my decorative scissors. So I've had these decorative scissors in my craft room for quite a long time, and I hardly ever use them. And I think a lot of the reason why I don't use them is because they're really hard to figure out which one is which, because I have to take each one out and look at the design on the side, and then also just trying to figure out what they do when you're actually, what they would look like if you use them to cut into your paper. And so what I decided to do was to create a reference book for my decorative scissors, and I've already done this one here, and I would say it only took me maybe about 30 minutes. I cut all these tags down and then just took and cut the edge off with each pair of scissors, and then I wrote on this what the actual scissors were. And then all of these are colored, so I went ahead and put the color of the handle so that I could help me to figure out exactly which one this is without having to look at each one of them. So since this is purple, dark purple, it's probably going to be maybe this one here. Let's see. Yeah, so I was able to find this pretty easily by putting the color there, and it eliminates me having to go through and try to pull each one of these to figure out which one that I wanted to use. Okay, and then so what I did here was I just cut out 2-inch strips of paper using my paper trimmer, and then I cut that down to 4 inches. So I have these rectangles are 2 by 4, and then I used a tag punch. This is a punch from Stampin' Up. It's really awesome. You just have to put in any piece of paper that's 2 inches wide, and it will create the tag for you. So I'm just gonna put that in there, and you can see it created a tag. And it's really easy to do. If you don't have one of these punches like this, you could just use a hole punch and punch the hole. But I'm gonna put this onto a ring like this one here. And I'll just have that next to me where I keep all my reference guides, so that if I want to create a decorative edge, I'll know, what scissors I have that I can use to do that. Okay, so I thought I would just go ahead and show y'all. I just take one of these. I've done this whole one right here, and I think what I'm going to do is give these a name like set 1 and set 2, and I'll go back and write down that information here so that I don't have to figure out which one of these to go to. So we'll just go with this one here, and this is Craft Edgers. There's a couple of different brands that I have. I have Fiskars, Craft Edgers, some unbranded ones, and then PaperCrafts. And I'll just take this, and what I'm going to do is put the edge of the scissor right here on the edge of the paper, so that way I also know how deep of a border this is going to make. and just cut along the edge. The hardest thing here is lining it up, and I would say that's the biggest challenge. Okay, so once I have that done, I'll just grab my pen and I'll just write down here that this is craft edgers, and this is just information here that's going to help me to figure out which pair of scissors I use to cut the edge here. And I think on the back of this one it has a number, and then it also has a word. It says wave, so I'm going to write that on here. And then this is green, so I'm going to put olive green down here, which will help me to identify that pair of scissors when I want to use this pattern. And so I think it's really super easy, simple to create these reference guides. And I think this one's probably not going to take very long to do. And then once I have it, it's something I'll have for a long time that will help me to use these tools that are in my craft room. Okay, so now that we talked about reference guides and decorative scissors, y'all have those in your craft room? I'll just be curious. If you have these in your craft room, leave me a comment below. It'd be funny to see how many people actually have these old decorative scissors in their craft room still, and if you actually use them or not. Okay, so the next thing that I wanted to talk a little bit about was bins. And I have this bin right here, and this is from the Dollar Tree. It's the fridge storage bin, the Stencils, and I think it's usually by the kitchen items if you go to the Dollar Tree. You can also purchase these online, but I think you have to purchase 24. It comes in a case. And so these are awesome if you have punches that you want to keep in a cart or somewhere you want to keep it together. You can keep it on a bookshelf. And you can see here that I have a whole bunch of these, and I have these punches in my 𝗏𝗏 cart. It's my tool cart. And it's a really quick and easy way to have these stored and keep them together, and they fit perfectly. These are all Stampin' Up! Punches, and they fit really good in there, and it's just awesome storage. These fridge storage bins are really amazing for all kinds of things, but you can fit 4 of these in a 𝗏𝗏 cart in one of the levels or trays. You can fit 3 of these into the 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝐿 unit if you have the drawers. So they're really awesome. I also found that I just recently got the wine bottle holder for one of my 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝐿𝐿s, and I wanted to try it out. These fit perfectly in the hole for the wine bottles. So you can, I think there's like 9, maybe there's like 9 holes. So you can put 9 of these in one of your 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝐿𝐿 cubes. And I just recently got that, so I haven't actually figured out what I'm going to put there yet. But I think that was super awesome. This is such an awesome container to use, and you can use it all over your craft room. Here are some more punches that I had in my tool cart. And in here I just had a tab punch. These are frequently used punches. I have a hole reinforcer punch, and then this is a half circle punch. It really does a good job of keeping this contained in the cart so things are not moving around. I really love using these containers in my 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝐿𝐿 cart. Okay, so the other bin that I have that's really useful for punches is this one here. This comes from Target. It's the Room Essentials 𝗬𝗏𝗊 basket, and this is the medium half. So it's a half basket. So it's an awesome size to fit your Creative Memories border punches. And it also fits a lot of other large punches like this. And you can fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 punches in each one of these bins. And then I have the Better Homes and Gardens. It's a divider, a shelf divider that fits into the 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀. So I can have 4 of these bins in one 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀 cube. So it's really awesome storage, and it really utilizes that 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗀 because you can put this into the cube, and then you just pull it out, find the punch you need, and then put it back. So I think it's a really awesome way to store punches. And so I'll go ahead and share a little video clip of where I have my punches stored in my craft room. And I basically have them stored in 4 different places. I have a lot of punches, and they're different shapes and sizes, so you don't necessarily have to put all of the punches in one place. I think it's okay to put the punches in different areas in your craft room as long as you know where they are. So I have all of these Creative Memory border punches in my 𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏𝗀𝗏 unit. and I am using up 2 of my Calyx cubes just for these punches, and I have no more room, so I'm trying not to buy any more punches for now because I have so many already. Unless they come out with one that's really different that I think I would really use in my craft room, I'm probably gonna not buy too many more punches. And then I also have an Alex drawer unit which has 5 drawers, and I have just one Alex drawer unit that has the smaller punches, and I'll go ahead and share a video clip of that as well. And then inside my closet, I have a DVD bookshelf from IKEA, and I can't pronounce the name of this bookshelf, but I'll put it up there on the screen. And in that bookshelf, I have a whole bunch of Creative Memories and also Stampin' Up! Punches. And that's a really awesome bookshelf to use if you are looking for a way to store your punches. And I would love to have another one of those, but unfortunately I don't have the room for it. So, and it's almost full. So my storage is pretty much full in my craft room for punches. And so unless I decide to start destashing and getting rid of punches, I probably won't be buying too many more of them. But I do use them. I use them quite a bit in my crafting, so I think it was a good investment to purchase the punches. And oh yeah, the 4th place that I have punches is in my 𝗲𝗂𝐾𝐿 cart, and I keep the punches that I use really frequently on projects. I just keep those in my 𝗲𝗂𝐾𝐿 cart so that they're really close by, and I can just grab those as I'm working on a project. Okay, so I think that's all I have to share for this video. I hope I've given you guys some inspiration and ideas on how you can store and organize your decorative cutting tools. And please be sure and go check out everyone else's videos that is participating in this YouTube hop. I'll have links to their videos in the description below. So if you like this video, please give it a like because it helps me to know what types of videos you'll like to see on my channel. It also helps YouTube to know what videos to recommend to other viewers. And if you've not already subscribed and you'd like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you as a viewer. Okay, well that's all I have. Y'all take care. Hope y'all have an awesome weekend, and I hope to